good evening, or good day, wherever you are out there. Anyways, thank you for watching. Is it my turn yet? So, what happened last time on Gray Eminence? Essentially, we'll just start at the beginning. I had a lot of difficulty actually starting off this session. I don't really know why per se, but I just had a really bad writer's block going on before the session, and I just felt like a failure. I was like, man, I can't do any of this. Maybe I should just cancel the session. And I didn't end up doing it, and I'm glad for that. Now I'm glad. Even during the session, I was like, oh man, this is terrible. But really, all the players had fun. At least that's what I've heard. So let's start off with the beginning of this session. Initially, I was going to leave it in. I took out probably about 15 to 20 minutes of the beginning, just because we weren't really in the groove of things. You know, it'd been a month. I think it'd been a month and a week. So, you know, it's been about 5 weeks since our last session due to my job, and it will get better, not to worry. So I did have some writer's block going on there, and I couldn't really figure out how to structure and set up the places that they should go to, because I don't want to be like, here's this inn, and that be the only place where they can really go. I tried to give them a few choices and realized that the list that I had laid out wasn't big enough for a town this size. You know, I should really add more, and I am going to add more to it. However, at the time of the session, I had enough to get by because I was planning to do a scene at some point during the session. I ended up doing it a little bit earlier than I wanted. But anyways, the players step off the docks, right? They initially, they're met with urchins, you know, because that's what they wanted to do is talk to an urchin. And Doug's character, Constance, you know, tries to get pickpocketed by someone who's obviously faking. This little girl kind of wanders up to him and, I mean, very obviously tried to fake sick. Or the players just thought, man, Matt really can't do voices. So that's probably what they thought. And they were being good players and just rolling with it. But anyways, he perceived it. Now, he wanted to go to the Temple of Palor, right? Now, he kind of splits off from the group to do his own thing because that's what his character wants to do. His character's feeling a little bit lost, I guess, at this moment. So the rest of the party, mainly Cricket and Jacques, go to this other urchin. They're like, hey, if you go over here and keep an eye on us, then, you know, let me know if anyone's following us and all that. Just let us know, and we'll give you more money. And the urchin was, yeah, super happy about that. Super happy. Now, the rest of the party, you know, they're like, well, last time, they're real paranoid. Atlas, in particular, real paranoid about things. He's like, last time I was here, I was wanted, stuff like that. Let's go to the bounty office or a bounty board. There's plenty of bounty boards. It's kind of paced like every few blocks. You know, they have instead of like town criers, you know, they'll have a guy just post up a sheet of paper or whatever of new bounties and stuff like that. Now, this is the part that I had planned for. Not necessarily them going to the bounty boards, but I felt I wanted some more excitement at the beginning of the session this time. And just my own kind of insecurity about it. I was like, okay, I need to, instead of waiting for the right time, I need to enact this now. And I just like, well, his mind's a little fucky, you know, and he sees all these guys, they all look like him. You know, his mind's breaking down a little bit. That part obviously wasn't written out. The only part that was really written out was this next part. But there was some good RP going on right there. Matt was just kind of laughing, just like, oh, okay, what's going on here? You know, he was just laughing at the situation, not thinking what's going on, you know, because his character doesn't really know what's going on. But there's a verbal scuffle. You know, Atlas was like, I won't forget this. You know, he's like those Telltale games. Atlas will remember you did this. But then we get into the part where I kind of have planned out. Now, initially, I wanted to wait for this moment when he sees a certain mark. And it brings back memories. And also the surrounding buildings are the exact same as they were years ago. Now, I kind of goofed up here. With the 2 times he's been to Devon, one 3 years ago and one 5 years ago. I think I may have said I'll have to go back and check the notes and see which person he killed or was supposed to kill. I don't quite remember which year was which, because now there's 2 flashbacks from this episode and the other previous episode as well. Session 34 and Session 35. They each have a flashback involving him going to Devon, I believe. Yes, they do. Now, in one, he was sent to kill Sherbert. We call him Sherbert, or I call him Sherbert, but Sheribert, whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know. But it's something like that, Pontanero, right? And he is the leader of, he's the noble residing over the scene, the city of Scene, that is west, the most western city, I think, in the continent. It's north and it's very west. But he resides over that. Now, his mission essentially was one of these flashbacks was to kill him, and another mission was supposedly to kill maybe the lead of House Torhana. Now, anyways, he's getting in this flashback, right? And I'm really proud of it. So he gets into this flashback, and the mist is going all around him, clawing at him, and I apparently set up the scene pretty well. Because Tyler's character, well, Tyler himself was like, man, this would be agoraphobic's worst fucking nightmare. And Zach said he got chills like during the scene as well. But essentially the city is being suddenly covered in this dense fog, and the sunlight turns to moonlight. And he's like, I don't know how I got here. What the hell's going on with my mind? But he hears a voice from the past, or from the present time, really, is what his mind's thinking. He lifts up and he goes over to the roof and starts talking to this Galadriel, his former partner and / lover, which he's starting to piece together. He's like, oh shit. And his internal feelings are starting to be rekindled a little bit. He's remembering the passion and the feelings for her. Meanwhile, while this is all happening, Jacques and Cricket and Alexander, but unfortunately John's internet connection kind of shot out on him a little bit during this scene, which is unfortunate. But Alexander's there as well, and they don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, they just see Atlas kind of somewhat insult Jacques and saying, I won't forget this, you know. And he walks away, flies up into the air, and goes over to a rooftop and starts crouching down and talking to some invisible thing. And people are starting to freak out a little bit. Jacques does a pro move here. He misty steps up there and does twin spell, greater invisibility on himself and Atlas. Now, just so they're not causing a commotion, but it's overall a pretty funny scene just because Jacques is like, I thought he was better than this, man. You know, all this talk about being a secret agent assassin, and he goes and does this when we're supposed to be kind of laying low. Cut back to Atlas, where he's continuing this conversation. He's not sure what's going on, and he's like, give me the debrief, give me the debrief. Now, this part, I listened back to it. You know, there's the small things that it's hard to really pick up on the heat of the moment, you know, because Zach's calling this girl Galadriel when we know from the scene is set that her code name is Saloon, and Atlas's code name is Pyros or Pyros, whichever way you want to pronounce it. And now they're kind of talking to each other without their code names. At least I'm having her respond to his dialogue without him calling her code name, which probably would have been a big no-no. But, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. So I continued out the scene, and what I really should have happened when he snapped out of it, because he did eventually snap out of it, I should have ended it, you know, instead of having a fade creep away, because Zach being Zach was like, I try to gather all the information I can from the scene. I'm like, okay. Which isn't too much to ask at all. So I gave him some stuff, and he was basically shook a little bit. He said I gave him chills. So now the party is like, we got to go to Bill's, man. We got to go to Bill's. It's not. Things are getting weird in the city with my mind, and so that party, you know, they're like, let's go, man. Let's go to Bill's bar. Yeah. All right. So they go to Bill's bar. Meanwhile, Doug's character, this part was pretty good. I enjoyed it, even though I should have written more out about the temple section. You know, I knew that they worship the majority of the main gods in the city, being the capital. You know, just about every god has a temple to it. All the main gods, at least. You know, some of them smaller deities that are more locally worshipped. No, probably not. But I didn't really have it fleshed out, so I felt a little bad not giving enough flavor for Doug. But he goes up to the House of Palor. Well, he does two things. One, he prays, and second thing is confession. When he's praying, this figure, which was kind of a test figure. I had it written down in my notes. And any players, if you're watching now, skip forward 3 minutes, please. You know, just do that. All right. It's your warning. All right. So I kind of have the plan for Atlas's character to have this almost... I'm not sure if I should really tell you guys either. But this figure appears and tells Constance that Atlas is going to snap and he needs to get out of the city before the last light gala. Now, here's the thing. Could this man be giving false information? You know, could he have his own reasons for wanting to tell a member of the party this? Absolutely. But this part was rushed. I had a note for this character to appear after something happens to Atlas. One of those somethings has already happened. But I felt like I really wanted to give Doug's character and Doug something to do. You know, I didn't want to just be like, okay, you pray. Nothing happens. But you pray and you get confessional. I didn't want that to just be, oh, well, yeah, you go there, talk to the priest, you get some rumors and leave. I wanted it to be something more. And this is where sometimes I struggle a little bit, is if I have things planned up here but not written out, or just like a small sentence, like literally one sentence, an incomplete sentence at that written out about this guy, I tend to enact it poorly, I feel. I don't, this time I don't think I really enacted it poorly. I just wish I had given it more flavor, more dialogue. But at the same time, I feel that the lack of dialogue adds to the intrigue a little bit. All right, so one, who the hell is this guy? You know? Two, how can he puff in and puff out? Like, well, second, he didn't puff in, he approached from behind. But he did puff out. Now, Constance being Constance didn't really care to look into what kind of spell that could have been. Because he's not really, I mean, he's a caster, but he's not playing as a caster, if that makes sense. You know, he's just playing as a preacher who has these abilities. Now, so he's not really like gaming it up. He can do some stuff, but he's not, doesn't call himself a cleric or any of the other subclasses he might be. So then what happens next is Constance goes to confessional. And this part I had a couple rumors. I was looking for a good in to kind of sprinkle them in. And since the players weren't going to go to a fancy nobleman's bar, they're staying away from his lord and lady, not the lord. It's his lord and lady, I believe, is what I called the tavern. They're staying away from that place because that's where Fulton wants to meet. Now, maybe this next session coming up soon, they'll go there to investigate it. Not quite sure what's going to happen then, but these confessions, I was like, well, man, you know, this might be a good place for rumors too, for the clergyman. They know all the main secrets, you know, and he's asking for rumors as well. He's not just be like, Father, I have sinned, blah 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 type thing. He's asking for rumors when he goes to confessional, which Paler doesn't really, I guess now he has a confessional booth type thing. But I figure, you know, I'll sprinkle in these rumors about Alexander's backstory a little bit. Just a little sprinkling here, you know, about House Rhys and Macedon forming an alliance through marriage. Lord Lucas hasn't been seen publicly in months. Some say he's been murdered. Others say he's waiting for the last light gala to do something. Now, Lord Lucas is the head of House Saris. It's Lord Lucas Saris. Now, Fulton, where he fits in all this, he is the kind of Lord Lucas's manservant, but not in a derogatory sense. You know, he is his right-hand man for everything. Lord Lucas depends on Fulton, and there's something there that I can't quite share with you yet, but he depends on Fulton to his fullest. Now, who's to say that Lord Lucas is indeed dead? Who knows? Who knows at this point, right? So that's how Fulton is able to be so powerful, a nice figure of power, essentially, is because Lord Lucas is actually the head house right now. Well, he is the Inquisitor and the Grand Fracilla, which is kind of the leading member of the Council of Five that controls Devon and in turn controls the nation. So the king oversees that council, yes, but the council is theoretically more powerful. It's kind of like in A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones, the hand of the king and his court, you know, the master of coin and all that. You know how they're making all the important decisions, and the king's just like, I'll make a grand declaration type thing, right? That's kind of what's going on here. It's somewhat feudal, in its creation. But anyways, moving on. He has that rumor, yes. He also has the rumor. Oh yeah, he tells of House Macedon, House Rhys, performing an alliance of this for the maiden of House Rhys, essentially, is being wed off to the second son of House Macedon. It later turns out that this girl named Lydia Rhys is the maiden, who we find out in a little bit. Well, we don't really find out, but Alexander has an extreme reaction to hearing this news. Fast forward. They go to Bill's bar. This Bill's bar, I guess he's like kind of Canadian, eh? Canadian / North Midwest, like Michigan type thing. Maybe not Michigan. Maybe just more a mix between a Canadian and someone from Iowa. All right, if that makes sense, that's kind of the voice I was going for on the fly there. I did have this written out. You know, it's a normal place. It's got. If you walked into it, you'd be like, "Oh, well, this is quaint." You know, it's nice. It's well kept, but it's just no real decoration on the walls. Just wooden furniture. That's it. You know, wooden bar, very plain, very simple type of bar. No frills. It's the working man's bar, the farmer's bar. You know, a lot of farmers go there, as they find out a little bit later. They all go up after a little bit. They get some refreshments, some bread and cheese, you know, and they all go up there and they talk about what's been going on. That lasts for a little while. At this point, when Alexander finds out what's going on with House Macedon and House Rhys, he, I would say, visibly unnerved by this. At least as far as body language goes, because he just like stiffens up and then fucking, he's like, I'm out of here. And he goes to a place where him and this Lydia character, or I don't think he ever says her name, but where was a spot that me and her used to go to? And I was like, oh fuck, okay, let's have, you know, there's cliffs nearby. So let's say that there's a cavern in one of the nearby cliffs. It's kind of used as a bandit hideout. Really shoddily thrown together. Anyways, he goes to this place and there's no sign of her. You know, it's a long shot anyways. He stays there for a few hours. Meanwhile, while this is happening, a bar fight kind of ensues a little bit. These kind of ruffians... this is another thing that I had one sentence written out that was like, ruffians spread false rumors, Baron King. And I was like, fuck, okay, how could I make this work? And connect it to Cricket's kind of backstory, because he's from this enclave, and the enclave isn't very nice. So these guys go in, and you know, they're just being dicks. They're like, oh yeah, fuck your drink, bro. You know, and they're just being dicks to the farmers. One guy goes up to Cricket, who's playing, and just starts unzipping a little bit, untying, and attempts to start taking the leak, but Cricket's not having it. He's like, what are you doing? Oh, hell no. You know, and he's just like armbarring this guy and grappling his ass. That's the thing I love about this bard. He's like, you don't fuck with me. All right, just don't fuck with me. You talking to me? Huh? You talking to me? You know, he's kind of that guy. But he plays wonderful music. You know, he's a great bard, but he's not afraid to get physical with some shit. All right, he is not afraid of that. Jacques, you know, shotgun grabs this guy. He's like, fucking do it. 20 some odd damage. Still up. He's like, holy shit. This guy's still up because they're thinking, oh man, another freaking bar fight. Some random thugs come in from the Baron King. Oh great. These guys are actually doppelgangers. What methods are being used by the Enclave that Cricket didn't enjoy, this is part of it. There's always that kind of sow some rumors type thing, but not like this, not to this extent of using these monstrosities for those ends. Because it wasn't just like sowing rumors. These things would do some pretty bad things to people to make life miserable for others. And that's part of the reason that Cricket left the Enclave. He's like, I don't like these tactics that are being used. I'm an information broker. Sure, I'll do some shady things. I'm not above killing someone, but this type of thing is just a little bit too much for me. That's a small part of why he left. Small. But Tyler doesn't know yet about the doppelganger. He has this guy in an armbar. He throws him outside, and he's like, what the fuck, man? You coming back at me? And he knocks. I don't believe he knocks him out. He does this little hypnotic pattern. That's what happens. And he's like, all right, hypnotic pattern. And like all the bystanders in the street are like, oh, the line, it's so pretty. And a guard comes around, puts him in cuffs. Meanwhile, the other guard goes in there and investigates and drags this other guy out. And Tyler's character sees this doppelganger's like, oh, fuck. He realizes maybe he should have killed these guys, because doppelgangers are extremely good at infiltration. All it takes is for them to get rested up and potentially escape. Now, I don't know how intelligent they are, but if they are able to report back to the Enclave and they mention what happens and who beat them up, Tyler's character, his description may trigger some things. We'll see. But that might not be for a little bit. But they are going to be in the town for a few days, so we'll see. But anyways, at the end of the session, Alexander got back in, or he was on his way back, I believe. I don't think he got back into the city yet. He started leaving the cavern, I believe. But a figure burst through the door at the last moment. That's pretty much it for session 35. Overall, I think it went okay. It actually went better than I thought it did, if that makes sense. When you're kind of, I guess, a depressed state and you can't really do anything. That's kind of what I was feeling. I was looking at all my notes the other day and I was just like, I couldn't write down a single word. I just couldn't write down a single word for the session. Luckily, I had this creative spark 2 months ago and wrote down just tons of lore for the plot and the world in general. I just have to enact that now. But I did go back and I watched parts of it the other night or last night, and yeah, I think it went well. Better than I had anticipated. But this party also, it takes a lot to plan. It takes a long time to plan. And also, I started feeling a little bit better about it after the session, because Matt and Tyler stayed and we talked, and then Zach came back and we talked about some things on the meta, and things that we would like to see overall as far as group play together. That part's up to them as far as how they approach it, but there was a lot of just meta discussion and overall how they felt the session went, and it was great. So I might start including those talks in after the session if you guys are into it. I'm not quite sure. I would like it to be more formatted in a sense, but it might be an impromptu type of deal. I could see that going down. We talked for an hour. I think almost 2 hours after the session. No, it had to be at least 2 hours after the session. Not everyone stayed for those like 2.5 hours, but we talked for a long time just about character development, what's going on, what they want to see, what I want to see, talking about just things in the session as well. Like, oh, I thought this was cool. I thought that was cool, type thing. So we might try to start doing that a little bit more, because it did make me feel a little bit better about the session in general. So it goes to show you, even though you have nothing written down sometimes, the party can still have fun, just role-playing, as long as you're open to it, I suppose. Lesson learned, maybe? I don't know. But for this next session coming up, I think it'll have a lot of plotting going on. I think we will meet Fulton. Crossing fingers. I'm thinking that there's two things probably going to happen. One, they're going to get an audience with the Baron King. Two, they're going to do Fulton. Because what I figure what's going to happen next session is, instead of doing role play, here's one day, per session type thing, they have a few days to burn. At the beginning session, I'm just going to ask them, what do they plan on doing over this period? And we'll focus it down, condense it, and role play out a scene or two with each character. Or if some characters are doing things together, then we'll act out a scene. So I'm always too conservative, I think too conservative with that amount, because I'm like, oh yeah, it will only take an hour. But it always ends up taking like 2 or 3 the whole session, for those like small condensed things. But this time I really do think I'm going to try to push that. And I'm going to try and be wary of that, though, just because I don't want to push things before I should. I don't want to be like, all right, end scene, cool, next. That's something I want to avoid. So I'm going to try to give them as full of experience as I can. Hopefully part of the group kind of bands together, and so we can do a scene with like 2 or 3 of the characters at once, or the whole group at once, which will cut down on some time. Now, with the Fulton thing, we'll fast forward to that after all this stuff takes place. All right, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Okay. Give me some roles if they require them. If not, cool, we'll scope out. I'll give you the information. Here you go. And then they will meet Fulton. Now, this is going to be interesting. I don't think that the players are on to the fact of Fulton really wants to talk. Or maybe they are, and Atlas just has such strong hatred for the man. That could be it. He has his hatred will overcome him, and possibly because Fulton will likely, at least initially, be open to dialogue. Because he could have them thrown in prison right now. If he wanted to, he could have them thrown in prison and meet with them there. Instead, he's allowing them to kind of venture in the city, which, what kind of villain would do that? Not to say that he's a villain. He might not be a bad guy, but he's kind of a bad guy. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the party has in store for me. And I've already written down the Fulton thing. Now, might be a thing that changes here or there, because Fulton's not just idly sitting by. He might have people reconning them as well. So he can be a little bit more prepared. But the overall encounter, the overall meeting, it's already set, as far as what Fulton is expecting. And the majority of it's going to be improv dialogue. I've got some bullet points, kind of like how they do in modules. They know this, they know that, they know this, but it's your job as a DM to incorporate that into speech and dialogue based on the character's actions. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully you are too. I will be posting it hopefully that night, so late Thursday night my time, or Friday morning. You'll have a new episode to wake up to. All right, everyone. I think that's going to be all for session 35's R&R. So let me know if you like these little videos down below in the comments section. And I did post a poll in the community section on my channel. So again, let me know if you would like to make this recap a live broadcast or not. Also, thank you for your participation in the earlier poll where I was deciding what to really name this world that I've, been in the process of creating. It's far from done. This will take years to get a fully fleshed out world, and by that time I'll probably be tired of it. But anyways, the world name is Colis. It was going to be Ecolis, but I was like, oh, I could shorten it down to Colis, give that as an option. The majority, only 7 votes, but 57% voted on that. So, not terrible. Alright, everyone, that's going to be all for this video. Hope to see you in the comment section on either this video or the session that will be posted in a day or two. Take care.